Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Not surprisingly, Donald Trump told a bunch of lies last night in his joint address to Congress. There were small lies, there were big lies, and then there's the big lie. And that is a coordinated campaign of blatant falsehoods to systematically burn down and destroy an institution. We saw Trump do it in 2020 before our very eyes, undermining the legitimacy of America's free and fair elections. We saw him do it last night on the biggest stage, undermining the legitimacy of America's most important safety net for its citizens, Social Security. There is a pattern to what Trump is doing and what he's goading other Republicans into saying. It is a pattern Trump established throughout the 2020 election and its aftermath, all the way up to January 6th and beyond. A deliberate attempt to alter reality with lies about the balloting that were so audacious and so obviously untrue.
They're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks.
We caught them, as you know. It's fraudulent, dropping ballots, doing so many things nobody can even believe it. Dead people voting.
It was a massive dump of votes.
And then you get to Detroit, and it's like more votes than people.
We have a company that's very suspect. Its name is Dominion.
This election was lost by the Democrats. They cheated. It was a fraudulent election. They flooded the market.
Now, to be clear, those claims were all false. They were laughed out of court dozens and dozens and dozens of times. But Trump was obsessed with convincing his fan base that the voting system in the U.S., gold standard for free and fair elections around the world, was shot through with fraud. I mean, in numbers that were preposterous. And it wasn't a new obsession. I mean, look at these headlines. Donald Trump warns vote could be rigged. Trump ratchets up rigged election claims, which Pence downplays. Donald Trump's rigged election claims raise historical alarms. All of these headlines were from the 2016 election campaign, the election Trump ultimately won in the Electoral College. He didn't challenge that outcome. But once he lost in 2020, Trump went back to his old playbook, this well-established playbook, particularly the myth of dead people voting for Democrats. This has been a fringe right-wing talking point for years, and Trump elevated the lie to new prominence. He used it in his, quote, perfect phone call with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to pressure his fellow Republicans into basically a coup, into rigging the state's vote totals to favor Trump, even though he lost the state. And Raffensperger debunked that lie in his testimony to the January 6th committee.
The other thing, dead people. So dead people voted, and I think the number is in the close to 5,000 people. And they went to obituaries. They went to all sorts of methods to come up with an accurate number, and a minimum is close to about 5,000 voters.
Mr. Secretary, did your office investigate whether those allegations were accurate? Did 5,000 dead people in Georgia vote?
No, it's not accurate. And actually, in their lawsuits, they allege 10,315 dead people. We found 2 dead people when I wrote my letter to Congress that's dated January 6th. And subsequent to that, we found 2 more. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 people, not 4,000, but just a total of 4.
Now, Trump's lies had a purpose, right? The purpose is to destroy faith in the electoral system so as to overthrow American democracy, to destroy that faith so that you can destroy the institution itself. And he rolled out the same play last night as he blasted out his new big lie about a beloved government program, one that Republicans have long hated, but that 71 million Americans currently rely on.
We're also identifying shocking levels of incompetence and probable fraud in the Social Security program. Believe it or not, government databases list 4.7 million Social Security members from people aged 100 to 109 years old. It lists 3.6 million people from ages 110 to 119. I don't know any of them. I know some people that are rather elderly, but not quite that elderly. But we're going to find out where that money's going, and it's not going to be pretty.
Identical, right? He sees dead people again. The dead people voting in the Georgia election, the dead people getting checks from Social Security, all the dead people committing fraud. Suggesting that Americans who died long ago are still having their Social Security checks delivered to someone and somehow cashing them in their name, even though they're dead and there's a death certificate. Again, think about it for 20 seconds. It's obviously preposterous. In fact, a government investigation last year found that from 2015 through 2022, 7 years, of all the money the agency paid out in benefits, and that is $8.6 trillion, a staggering sum, less than 1% was improper payments. That's a really good record. And most of the erroneous payments were overpayments to living people. I mean, again, think about this, right? In the same way if you think through the dead people voting at scale issue. If you have ever had a loved person die when they were on Social Security, you know the checks don't keep coming. Also, Social Security automatically stops payments to people who are 115 years old. It's capped there, which I'm sure is a bureaucratic headache for the handful of Americans who live that long. The version of the lie Trump and his unelected co-president Elon Musk are telling appears to be based on their inability to read the data they collected, because Social Security's software system necessitates that some entries with missing or incomplete birth dates will default to a reference point of more than 150 years ago. I don't know the origins of this, but here's the thing. The fraud claims are bunk. They're totally false. It's just the big lie about voting again. Dead people voting. But just like they did with the election big lie, Republicans are amplifying it.
What he's finding with his algorithms crawling through the data of Social Security system is enormous amounts of fraud, waste, and abuse.
Tens of millions of deceased people who are receiving fraudulent Social Security payments.
More than 13 million people on the records receiving benefits who are over 119 years old.
I'm shocked enough. Who do we have at 200 years old, or who do we have older than America that's getting Social Security?
Everybody whose grandfather died and is still getting Social Security? Give me a break.
Yeah. They're lies. They are lying. Those are all lies. It's not happening. Okay? Millions of people, millions. Here's the thing. They want to destroy Social Security. They are coming for Social Security. Musk has already installed someone from DOGE at the Social Security Administration. The agency has already announced enormous layoffs. They're already closing offices. This is going to make things start to break there. Last weekend, the previous Social Security Administrator, Martin O'Malley, warned that Trump and DOGE were breaking the whole agency, saying, quote, ultimately, you're going to see the system collapse and an interruption of benefits. I believe you will see that within the next 30 to 90 days. People should start saving now. Like, I don't know if that's a credible prediction. I really don't know. Social Security is an amazing and robust system, right? But it's an incredible statement. Given that Social Security has never missed a monthly payment in 90 years, it is a program, like our voting system, that is incredibly free of fraud, incredibly efficiently run, insanely popular with the American populace, just like free and fair elections. So keep your eye on the ball here, right? Huge tip-off last night of what they're about to do. Trump knows all this. Musk knows all this. It's why they are telling the big lie about Social Security, just like the big election lie. The objective now, as it was then, is to fabricate this elaborate, grotesque lie about a cherished institution of American government, to sow enough fear, doubt, and uncertainty among enough people that Trump can get away with destroying it.